What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Sly Geordie, and welcome back to some more F1 25 driver career mode for the Mexico City Grand Prix. And if you missed last episode in Texas, it was a pretty unorthodox strategy from us, but we were able to still get a hard-fought P4 in a pretty eventful race. Lots and lots of overtakes from us, and it is pretty clear now, with 5 races left to go to the end of the season, that we are battling for P3 in the standings. And P2 is kind of still up for grabs as well, but I really don't think it will happen. Hell, I don't even think we'll get the P3, but P4 definitely up for grabs, and we are there right now ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who is less than 30 points behind us, so that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Of course, the Ferraris have been really inconsistent this season, as you can tell from this graph here, but the McLarens, I don't think we're going to catch up with them anytime soon. So the rest of the season is all about staying in P4 in the driver's standings before we hopefully move to Aston Martin in Season 2. I'm still waiting for a third secret meeting. I don't know when that's going to come, but again, we've got plenty of time with 5 races left to go of the season. So we've got redesigned brake ducts arriving, research complete. Now, I don't know if that's actually a new part added to the car, or if that's, you know, a car part being protected. I don't know, but looking at everything here, it looks as though we don't have the resources to protect any of them right now, so we're going to have to go into the practice sessions. But yeah, without further ado, it's time to head down to Mexico for a Grand Prix that I'm surprised is still on the calendar, given that there is no Mexican driver anymore. Yeah, this is probably going to be the only time we do Mexico in the career mode, since Sergio Perez isn't there. So I don't know, you know, I feel like if there's no Mexican driver, why would there be a Mexican Grand Prix? There's no reason for me to do that, and also since, you know, I don't really like the track too much anyway, but it feels alright in this game. I've been doing it quite a lot this past week in Ranked, so yeah, it's a track I'm definitely very used to now anyway. So we'll see how we'll do in the V-Carb though. It's very different compared to the equal performance F1 World Cars, so we'll have to see how this goes. But let's have a look at the progress history, see if anybody's brought any upgrades, and they have. Mercedes have brought in some upgrades, and looks like that redesigned brake duct was an upgrade for us, so a minor upgrade for us, as well as Kick Sauber as well. So yeah, Mercedes looking strong going into this weekend, at least performance chart-wise anyway, but we know they have been really bad this season, so yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. Ferrari, of course, really low down the pecking order compared to where they're used to being. They're actually level pegging almost with Aston Martin and Williams. We're not too far behind, so we could definitely still compete with the Ferraris. But yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on the Aston Martin and the Williams cars, of course, maybe even a Mercedes. And then, of course, when it comes to Red Bull and McLaren, we're usually running into the likes of Verstappen, Piastri, and Norris, and maybe we'll run into Yuki as well, we'll see. But without further ado, it's time to get into qualifying for the Mexico City Grand Prix.
What an atmosphere we've got. The fans have been here since dawn, and the stadium, the Faro Sol, is absolutely heaving. We're about to get set to set the grid for tomorrow's Grand Prix. It's qualifying day here in Mexico City.
And what a lovely day it is here in Mexico as we get set for a qualifying that honestly I'm a bit intimidated by. Mexico has never been a track that I was that strong at least in F1 23 anyway. It definitely gave us some of the most memorable races, even though it is one of my least favourite tracks on the calendar. I really hate this little double DRS section because you know, if you start behind somebody just before the lap starts, you're still going to get DRS regardless of whether or not you've passed them. And 9 times out of 10, you have already passed them, which I think makes it a little bit unfair for the car that just already got overtook. You know, it's sort of like the double DRS zone in Hungary, where you do the main straight, you go around the corner, and then, you know, it's onto another DRS straight. But it kind of works there because there's not enough time a lot of the time to get an overtake done. in Hungary, but with Mexico, the straight is really long, like really long. So I've always felt it was a little unfair. It's never been a track that, you know, I've enjoyed in races too much for that reason. However, they have been eventful in the past. Mexico is one of those tracks that always has a little bit of an unpredictable factor going into the weekend, especially with how kind of, you know, topsy-turvy, I suppose, the whole track is. Of course, Sector 1 is quite one note. It's got that main straight, but then you go into Sector 2 and Sector 3, it's a lot of corners. It's very technical, but also high speed, and you can lose a lot of time in those areas. So, you know, there'll be a lot of tyre deg, especially in Sector 2. Sector 3 is a little bit boring. There's a little bit of an overtaking opportunity, but not much of one. And then the stadium section, sometimes you can have a nice little overtake there, but end of the day, it's an alright track. It's just one of my least favourites on the calendar as we cross the line, setting a pretty strong lap. At least that's how I felt. Is our average starting position of P8 as Max Verstappen is on pole. George Russell, P3 in the Mercedes, and Oscar Piastri in P15. Looks like the roles are sort of swapping there. Very intriguing as we go into Sunday for the Mexican Grand Prix.
Back in the 60s, Mexico City would host the season-ending race, a party of motor racing. Well, we might not host the finale now, but Mexico hosts a party nonetheless. So welcome to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for the Mexico City Grand Prix. The Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, 2.6 miles of track that allows drivers to take full advantage of their cars, reaching speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour. And providing lots of opportunities for overtaking. The circuit features 17 corners, 10 to the right, and the remaining 7 going to the left. And alongside me today, a man who I'm always pleased to see join me in the commentary box, Anthony Davidson. So here we are, 2.2 kilometres up in the air, which I know is an unusual feeling for you, Mr. Davidson, but for the drivers, it's even worse.
It is. The altitude can certainly get to your head, Crofty, that's for sure. Especially when you're walking up the stairs to the commentary box. I've seen it firsthand, ladies and gentlemen, don't you worry. But this circuit, the problem with the altitude is it takes away your downforce. You have to go slower around the corners because you've got less downforce, even though you've got Monaco wing packages on your car. That's the challenge of this incredibly unique circuit.
Okay, Mark here. Let's get another points finish today. I just want to say good luck. We're all counting on you.
So yeah, I had no idea what I wanted to do with the strategy. In some ways, it is a very similar track to Silverstone and Texas that we had before, so it might be a good idea to go with the two-stop strategy, but at the same time, Sector 1 and Sector 2 really doesn't have much tyre deg at all. It's like a whole half of the track doesn't give you much tyre wear, and then the other one gives you quite a lot. So I really didn't know how to judge it. For now, we're going to just go with the mediums to hard strategy. So the one stop, if we need the two stop, we'll do it as we now wait for 5 red lights to go out. Verstappen is on a grid penalty, and it's lights out, and away we go as Lando Norris leads us away. We've got a pretty good start. Albon's got a pretty good start as well, getting ahead of Hamilton, and look at all this space on the left-hand side as Yuki Tsunoda tries to defend against Albon. And yeah, we've got all this space here side by side with Albon, of course, now side by side with Yuki Tsunoda, just trying to find a way past him. What a start for us, jumping from P8 up to P4. Just catching a bunch of cars napping. I don't think they expected us to have such a great start, only looking at one of their mirrors. And yeah, we were able to get a P4 out of that, and maybe even a P3 as George Russell is getting kind of blocked by a fighting Leclerc and Lando Norris. Charles Leclerc up fighting for the victory here. That's a strange thing to say considering Ferrari, you know, for this season, they've not been that good at all. Lando Norris is a reoccurring character, of course, but he'll be happy that Max Verstappen is so far behind. Not that Lando has a chance in the championship now anyway, but, you know, he'll take the wins as he can get them, of course. But yeah, P8 to P3, one of the greatest starts that I have ever had on the F1 game. That was phenomenal, and at Mexico, of all places, I really did not expect that. Of course, we've not been upgrading the car at all for quite a few episodes now, so it's not like we've got a more powerful powertrain now. I think the only thing that's really getting upgraded is Hajar doing durability upgrades. But yeah, P3 for us by the end of the first lap. It's absolutely phenomenal. In the background we see Hamilton looking for a move on Albon, I think it was, as we now follow Norris and Leclerc, and they're fighting so much that they've left the inside wide open, and now it's going to be 3 wide on this second DRS straight here. We're going to go around the outside and get to the apex first, and still Leclerc and Norris, they fight. We take that corner a little bit slow. I think we caught Leclerc off guard a little bit, and that allowed Norris to capitalize and take P2. But look at that. In less than 2 laps, we have jumped from P7 to P1. We are leading the Mexican Grand Prix, a circuit that I have never been too strong at. But somehow, someway, so much fighting going on at the beginning, because the AI of this game are so incredible that, yeah, we've managed to take advantage of all of it and not gotten into many scraps at all. Just capitalized on the opportunities that have been given to us, and we are up into P1 of this Mexican Grand Prix. Of course, this means that the first proper DRS zone of the race is unfortunately, the first one, proper one, because you don't get it on the second lap, do you? It just gets enabled, but unfortunately, we are on the receiving end of it, and Lando Norris makes a pretty easy overtake. I did try to defend the inside, but there really wasn't much we can do. I've also spent a lot of VRS making those moves that we did, so maybe that will come back to haunt us pretty soon. But yeah, our ERS has always been the weakest out of the top teams, of course, so we've always been fighting above our weight, so to speak. But yeah, it's been a phenomenal season for us, and clearly, even though we're not upgrading the car anymore, you know, saving resources for 2026, trying to work out our deal with Aston Martin, regardless of that, we did enough upgrades throughout the season to just be a consistent competitor as we now dive down the inside of Lando Norris, still side by side. But once you have the inside of that area, you pretty much have most of the advantage going through that chicane. But of course, it is only a matter of time before Lando Norris overtakes us for good. George Russell, on the other hand, has dropped quite a bit. He does catch up a few laps later, and it is lap 5 as Lando Norris once again overtakes us for quite possibly the final time, as tyre wear will be starting to kick in now, and our ERS is really low. I think if it was higher, we'd be able to fight that a lot more, but if I tried to recharge it throughout the lap, we could probably lose Lando throughout it. So yeah, definitely trying to balance it out as best I can. It really doesn't help that we're losing quite a lot of energy now because of the worn energy store that we do have. But yeah, case in point right here, lap 6, looking to maybe catch up to Lando Norris. I had no idea that George Russell was coming up on my right-hand side, so I have to switch my attention to him and defend against the Mercedes, which is not a sentence I'm used to saying at all. I think Mercedes have been completely bad, so bad this season that we have hardly ran into them at all. In fact, I think I remember running into Antonelli more than Russell, to be quite honest. Russell has never really been on our radar, but he's been on really good form in this race, overtaken us once more. And now we're losing so much time by lap 10 that we're now being pressured by the Williams of Alex Albon. And I'm trying to weave, I'm trying to sway to get him out of the slipstream, but yeah, it's inevitable at the end of the day. And Leclerc and Alonso are not too far behind neither, so I'm going to have to make the executive decision of boxing this lap. We're going to have to change the strategy onto another set of mediums and then the hards towards the end. That was clearly the strategy to go with. I didn't want to go for the same strategy again as we did in Texas. I felt like that might be a bit boring, but clearly it is a necessity. It is clearly the strategy that we should be going with. I did want to try the one stop, but yeah, way too much tyre wear. Let's see what we can do with a 2-stop. It really worked in Texas, but oh no! I was so focused, so zoned in on fighting the cars around me, and I was enjoying it so much that I low-key forgot that I forgot to change what tyres I was meant to go on. So instead of going on another set of mediums, as was the the plan in my head anyway, I was just so focused on keeping up with the car in front, trying to make as much time as possible on the worn set of mediums, that I just completely forgot to switch to another set of mediums on the MFDs. So we're going to have to change this strategy quite a little bit. This is really going to hurt our final stint, of course, because it means we've got less laps to overtake cars at the end for a finalised position. But you know, we've always been pretty comfortable on the hards. It means we're just going to have to go, instead of like going from lap until lap 22 as was the original plan on the mediums, it means we'll have to go until like lap 25 on the hards, as we now try to overtake Hulkenberg. But Verstappen also tried to make it 3 wide. I was the last to brake in that situation, really confident on the hards at this point. Verstappen actually followed me into the pits, so he's got a same strategy as I do. He feels as though the 2 stop is going to be the better decision in the grand scheme of things as we dive on the inside of Gasly. I am desperate to get away from Verstappen. I don't really need to help him at this point. It's not like we're helping him for a win or anything, so I'm disregarding the Red Bull allegiance for now and focusing on getting past these cars, as we're now practically pushing Behrman through the snake section here, and we've got so much grip compared to him that we're able to go around the outside in a very unorthodox position to overtake. So that was absolutely incredible, as we now set our sights on our teammate of Isaac Hajar, who is in a pretty good position so far, to be honest. I think that would be, well, it's actually a P14 if you count me and Verstappen being obviously higher in the pecking order once everybody has made their pit stops. But there is an easy overtake on Hajar. He was never going to fight that too much, but as we look behind us, Max Verstappen, huge dive bomb by the champion-elect, getting past both Gasly and Behrman in one foul swoop. So a great move by Verstappen as we now look to get past Lance Stroll, who is coming into the pits. So now we're starting to see just how much positions we could possibly gain, how many seconds we've gained, of course, and quite a lot ahead of Russell. As we now skip on to the next lap to get the rest of them done, Verstappen is able to undercut Norris, so really good for him. But obviously we pitted a few laps beforehand. But this really goes to show just how much clean air and fresh tyres are worth around here. It's really, really interesting, but it is only a matter of time before Lando Norris is able to catch up to us, as Verstappen has also caught up to us. So at some point we're going to let him pass and probably defend Norris a bit more to try and make Verstappen up loads of time. But a safety car has been called out, and it right as we were coming past the pit entry, so that has completely shafted us here. We were about 4 laps away, no, not even that, 6 laps away, sorry, from a pit stop. So this is going to be a really tough decision for us. I think it was because of Ocon, but I completely forgot to check in the replays, of course. So I just assumed that it was Oscar Piastri's car being stranded on the side of the road. I guess you could go either way. In the game, that wouldn't normally be the case because he would be ghosted, but in real life, absolutely that would have been a safety car, just to get Piastri's car out of the way. So regardless of what it was, would have been a safety car in real life anyway. But we have an important choice to make, or a choice that we have already made. We're going to have to pit now on a set of mediums, which is really going to shaft us for the final stint. So before, it was our own mistake, and you know, if we'd have pitted onto the mediums, we would have been absolutely fine in this situation. Just a couple more laps on the hards, you know, like 2 of them would have been behind the safety car, or at least one of them anyway. It honestly would have been a much better situation for us. But having to now go onto another set of mediums, because we can't stay on these hards. They'll be pretty worn at this point, at least in the 20% on the rares. So we're going to have to pit. We've got no choice but to try and do 16 laps on the mediums, which is really going to hurt us towards the end. So it's absolutely imperative that we make as many overtakes as possible when the safety car condition ends. Of course, Verstappen is also in the same exact situation as us. He will be just as desperate to make as many overtakes as possible. Of course, the advantage here is going to be that we're on fresh mediums while everybody else will be on worn hards at this point. So, yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see how many overtakes we can make in this stint. With 16 laps to go, it's going to be interesting to see if we're going to come under a lot of pressure in the final few laps on the worn mediums that we'll be on by then. Of course, we'll see how everybody is on the hards. Of course, they might be in a bad situation as well. But when push comes to shove, I would rather be on the hards at the end of the Grand Prix. So yeah, we're going to have to make the most of this and hopefully get into acres of space. But this is a horrible start because Behrman and Doohan, fighting side by side, are forming a bit of a blockade for me, which is allowing Max Verstappen to catch up to us and try to get past us. Look at this, 2 by 2. This is a horrible situation, just a complete blockade in front of us, and I'm going to get desperate. I'm going to go round the outside of both Behrman and Doohan, really on the limit of whether or not that was an illegal overtake. I think I was in front of both cars right before I was going off track, so we have gotten away with that, thankfully. But yeah, that would have cost us a lot of time, about a second or two. Obviously, for now, that's not going to be too bad. We're going to make that up pretty easily, catching up to the Kick Saubers. But those 2 seconds are going to be really, really important towards the end of the Grand Prix. You know, what if we could get 2 seconds ahead of a certain car instead of what now it would be? We'd make the overtake, but we wouldn't have enough grip to stay in front as we now go around the outside of Gabriel Bortoleto, and now we can focus on chasing down Nico Hülkenberg. So this is a really good situation for us. Verstappen is still behind Oliver Behrman, so yeah, he's going to be really, really frustrated. We are honestly just throwing Hail Marys to see what sticks, as we now dive down the inside of Nico Hülkenberg, and now we try to follow Pierre Gasly. We've got Antonelli in front of us, our teammate Isaac Hadjar backing up Antonelli as well. There's a bit of a gap starting to form ahead of Hadjar. I think that's the Aston Martin of either Lance Stroll or Fernando Alonso. So Aston Martin seem to be doing pretty well. But let's see what we can do against Pierre Gasly here with DRS open. Will I be diving down the inside? Yes, I will be. A desperate dive, honestly, so desperate that Gasly didn't even have enough of a door open on the inside to even start to combat us. We had to go over a curb, unfortunately. So now we are side by side with Antonelli, looking to go around the outside of the Mercedes, transitioning to the inside, and now we can focus on our teammate Isaac Hadjar. There's a big gap between him and Lance Stroll at this point. The 2 Williams are up the field quite well as well. So yeah, quite a weird grid considering the rest of the season. We've got Leclerc in P3, really good for him. Piastri out of the race, of course. Verstappen in P17, really unorthodox from him. I think he's coming off of the back of some really good results, like 4 race wins in a row, I think it is, as we are now going around the outside of Isaac Hadjar. He slowed me down quite a bit. I could have made the pass a lot earlier, but I wanted to wait for the main straight so we'd get DRS. So definitely lost a lot of time. It has taken us up until lap 25 now to catch up to Lance Stroll. So it's only a matter of time before the tyre wear really starts to kick in, and it will be very, very soon. ERS, my balancing hasn't been the greatest neither, having to save it towards the end of the straight, but Lance Stroll goes over defensive and we're able to make an easy move around the outside as we now look to set our sights on Yuki Tsunoda. But unfortunately, we're just not able to make that pass. It looks as though the tyre wear has completely overstayed its welcome, and now, or at least the tyres have overstayed their welcome, and now yeah, we're going to be coming under a lot of pressure from Lance Stroll. So as it stands, we're only going to be fighting for P9, unfortunately. So that's no good at all, as we are now transitioning on to the next lap, lap 28 on the main straight. I've completely ran out of ERS. This is going to be a pretty easy pass for Lance Stroll, but he doesn't have enough time to make the pass, as I now once again re-overtake him, and we've got P9 once more. So yeah, we're going to be really struggling against Stroll at this point. Honestly, it looks as though we might be getting a P10 because Antonelli is quite far behind us. But look at this, yellow flags. It's George Russell. Oh no, the woos for Mercedes continue. George Russell was going for a win there. And yeah, look at that. Just a complete and utter shambles from George Russell. As we now look towards the replays just to see how that was happening. George Russell was in a really good position for that Mercedes, but yeah, he just completely lost control of the car. Maybe he got hit with a whiff of dirty air or something, but look at the positions dropping like flies, and that is a complete blockage of the track. If there was two cars battling through this corner, absolutely contact would have been made, but George Russell must be looking on in despair. An absolutely depressing season for Mercedes, and especially George Russell, who is absolutely capable of championship glory, but Mercedes have just not been giving him the cars at all. And look at this. He's had to retire. I don't know why that happened. It's not like he had an engine failure or anything, but we have quite the decision to make. Honestly, I think he got disqualified. I'm going with that headcanon. Because, you know, he was sat there for a while, but we're going to be pitting this lap onto a set of soft tyres because these mediums have absolutely overstayed their welcome. I genuinely think we're going to lose positions to Stroll, most likely would lose a position to Antonelli, and we'd probably drop positions like flies, you know. I'm thinking of Silverstone here. That race was traumatizing, so we're going to go with a 3-stop simply because of that. It's just a complete mess of a race for us, and it all comes down to not remembering to switch the tyre for the first pit stop. But this has allowed us to go onto the softs for the first time in a race in a long time. When was the last time we went on softs in a race? Have we ever even done that on this game? Either way, we've got probably about 5-6 laps to go after the safety car pits. So yeah, starting from P17, back of the grid, we're going to have to re-overtake a lot of these cars as Jack Doohan is the one ahead of us. Then it's Behrman, and then the two Kick Saubers as Behrman is actually looking to make an overtake on Bortoletto. He's going down the inside, looking ahead here as we're looking to find a way to get past Jack Doohan. We're going to have a lot of grip coming out of this corner. Look at that, and we're even able to get past Oliver Behrman. Maybe if we spend a bit more ERS, we could probably catch up to Bortoletto, but Gabriel is going to make this really awkward. He's going to defend against me, allowing Behrman to once again challenge us. And look at this, I'm getting really close to Bortoletto. I am desperate to make these moves at this point. We need to make so many moves to get back into the points paying positions. So a huge risky dive on Bortoletto, but it has worked out for us. We're going to have so much grip with these soft tyres. It's absolutely unreal. Of course, they'll be worn out by the end of the race, but by then, fingers crossed, we'll be in the points as we now make a copycat move to the one we did on Hulkenberg earlier. He'll be frustrated to have let that happen again, or he knows we're on softs and he just let it happen anyway. There's absolutely no point fighting it. It will be a losing battle nonetheless, as now we look to make the pass on our teammate Isaac Hadjar, but unfortunately AI acceleration is a thing. I've had to deal with it the whole time regardless, so yeah, until we get DRS we've got no real opportunity there, but Hadjar's actually fighting Gasly, which has allowed us to get the switchback on both of them. An absolutely beautiful move there, and that has jumped us up to P11, so we are inches away from the points. Max Verstappen in P10, he's just behind Kimi Antonelli, and then up ahead of him is, I think, yes, Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin, so familiar faces in that top 10, at least in comparison to the rest of the Grand Prix anyway. It's been a really good race for Kimi Antonelli. I think at this rate he'll be scoring a point regardless, so he'll be happy about that, I suppose, as we now make our way past him. He made it a little bit difficult, but that's mostly because Verstappen was also making the pass on Stroll up ahead. Again, my desperation is really showing here. We're going to dive on the inside of Lance Stroll. I'm absolutely cooking these soft tyres, but I'm also cooking in this race as we are now P9, which is exactly where we were beforehand, or at least I think we were in P8. But Verstappen lost so much time fighting those cars that he doesn't have DRS, which actually allows us a pretty easy overtake on the champion-elect here. So around the outside of Max Verstappen we go. What a move. What a great opportunity for us. Finally, some luck going our way as we now set our sights on the Red Bull of Yuki Tsunoda and the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso up ahead. We've only got 3 laps left to go, but we could possibly make a move on these two. I'm getting so aggressive though with it that we actually hit the back of Tsunoda just a little bit, which isn't good. Yuki Tsunoda just about managing to come out on top of Fernando Alonso. Alonso has to back out, and he backs out so much that that allows us to go up his inside with another unorthodox overtake, similar to the one we did on Behrman earlier. And now we can set our sights on Yuki Tsunoda in the Red Bull. Obviously, we're going to chill, sit back a little bit because we're going to get DRS into the next, onto the main straight. There's no car in front of him, so regardless of AI acceleration, we will catch up. We will get this move done. And then with 2 laps left to go, maybe we could catch Carlos Sainz in that Williams. We'll see. But we have to focus on the here and now, as Fernando Alonso also has DRS and most likely has more ERS as well, as we now look to get past Tsunoda. Alonso drifts over to the other side, 3 wide for a moment there. Alonso gets past Tsunoda and we get past Tsunoda as well, and we are up into P6. It's a brilliant recovery drive. I'm really glad I made that last strategy decision to go onto the softs, because obviously it felt a lot safer to go on the mediums and perhaps fight for any points, but I felt as though we had enough pace in the tank to get more, and I'm glad that I backed myself up and went onto the softs. But now, final lap of the Grand Prix, Sainz chasing down Hamilton, Albon in the Williams on the podium. That is absolutely incredible for him. Lando Norris leads the way, Leclerc in P2, so it's been a good race for Ferrari, all things considered. Leclerc will be a bit miffed that he didn't have a proper opportunity to overtake Norris because of the safety car. Maybe he did overtake Norris before. I didn't really look at the replays. I was so focused on my own race, as yeah, we've got very little ERS left. It looks as though we won't be able to get this move done on Sainz, but I am desperate to at least give it a go. Diving late there and diving down the inside in the stadium section. This is incredible, and somehow there is enough space for the two of us right here as the pyro goes off in the Mexico City Stadium. And look at this going around the outside, and unfortunately the AI acceleration activates and Sainz manages to hang on to P5. But all things considered, a P6, considering you know, the awful, you know, us forgetting to change the strategy for the first stint and then the safety cars shafting us. I feel like we did really good there.
It's all go, go, go for Lando Norris as he takes the checkered flag and wins.
I mean, it looked like they were in a different category at points during the race, led every lap. I mean, what more can we say?
It's time for our podium celebrations. And as ever in Formula One, 3 is the magic number. He holds the trophy aloft, and why shouldn't he? A richly deserved win today for Lando Norris.
Well, there he is, lifting the trophy aloft once more. A bit bittersweet, though, because obviously, as of last episode, the championship has all but ended. It's not been mathematically confirmed, but with Verstappen 100 points ahead, or at this point, still about 80 points ahead, it is still over. But a strong victory for Lando Norris nonetheless. He has been the most consistent driver of this race. Leclerc as well, a pretty good race for him. But story of the day, besides us, Alexander Albon in the Williams, getting a podium. Really, really good for him right there. And it's because of that result, as just wait a second right there. Because of that result for us, we're actually almost caught up to Piastri, because Piastri DNF. But in the Constructors, because of Albon's result, Williams have now overtaken Mercedes for P5. Mercedes having their worst season in their history since 2010. Absolutely awful for them. And to, you know, stick salt on the wound, we have won our rivalry with the junior Mercedes driver right there. reaching overall 77, or is it 78 now, before Antonelli could. So yeah, it's been a great episode, all things considered. And next episode is one of my favorite tracks on the calendar. Yes, folks, it is Brazil. So if you're excited, be sure to hit that like button, comment, share, and subscribe if you are new. And I will see you next time for some more F1 25 driver career mode. Until next time, peace.